This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Unfortunately, a lot of people have what we call the CSI effect. And when we go on a scene, they think that we can just magically come up with an answer, because on television they do.
Advancing forensic research using a field of dead bodies. It may sound a little odd, but there are body farms all over the country. Now, Florida is getting its first facility. So, do we really need one? Could it help solve some unsolved crimes? Where do the bodies come from? We will answer all of those questions and more tonight. Good evening, I'm Haley Wilgus. Alan is off tonight, but he will have more on Florida's first body farm coming up. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. We begin tonight in Manatee County, where jurors are deliberating on whether Andres Avalos Jr. should be sentenced to death. It took jurors 13 hours to find Avalos guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of second-degree murder. In 2014, Avalos killed his wife, their pastor, James Tripp Battle, and their neighbor, Denise Potter. Witnesses for both sides took the stand today. Families of the victims calling for him to be executed, while Avalos' family is asking for the leniency of life in prison.
As a mother, I have had to hold my 8-year-old daughter while she cried out for her father. He will miss her first boyfriend, learning to drive, high school graduation, her college graduation, her wedding.
The son that we raised. And the one that was on December 4th. That one we did not recognize as our son.
Jurors have been dismissed for the night. Avalos can only be sentenced to death if all 12 jury members agree. A follow-up now on an ongoing investigation by the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office. 31-year-old Aaron Talley is under arrest for the second time in a week. Last Monday, he was arrested for trespassing at Riverview High School. On Thursday, Talley was arrested again after a search warrant found child pornography on his computer. He faces 35 counts of possession of child porn. Talley remains in custody tonight on $350,000 bond. Sarasota deputies also making some arrests in the ongoing battle against the opioid epidemic. Ryan Pestian and Sarah Ryan are under arrest for possession of meth and heroin. Deputies were called to the Marathon gas station on Bee Ridge Road Sunday night after reports of the couple fighting in the parking lot. Narcotics were found inside their car along with drug paraphernalia. Pestian was also carrying a firearm at the time of the arrest. A group of students and parents in Sarasota County calling for more accountability after a bus driver was caught on camera allegedly texting while driving a bus full of kids. Students at Pineview School tell ABC7 that the bus began noticeably swaying during their ride home because they say their driver was on his cell phone. A student took video of the incident seen here. It was reported to the district, but 3 months later, it appears nothing has changed. The students may not be old enough to drive themselves, but they do recognize a dangerous situation.
We know how dangerous it is to be texting and driving, and especially on a school bus with 40 kids.
The school district says the driver, Peter Boussier, was looking up a new route to avoid traffic, but protocol states he must pull over and stop before doing so. Boussier was counseled by his route supervisor and agreed not to do it again. The school year is coming to a close, but some local nonprofits such as the Food Bank of Manatee are starting to ramp up their efforts to tackle summer hunger. According to the school district, 55% of students in Manatee County receive free or reduced price lunches. That's why the Food Bank is launching its SAC Summer Hunger campaign. Thousands of bags of food will be distributed over the 9 weeks of summer, with the goal of making sure no child goes hungry.
Hunger is every day. It's not just the summer, it's not just during the holidays, but the summer is the time that the Food Bank of Manatee needs the most help.
The organization says it is in dire need of volunteers for its Meals on Wheels program. Food donations often slow down during the summer months, so everyone is encouraged to donate. After nearly 2 years of construction, the Diverging Diamond is officially open at the I-75 University Parkway interchange. The new traffic pattern was put into effect yesterday, and it's already causing some confusion for drivers. The Diamond inverts traffic lanes, putting drivers on the left side of oncoming traffic. While the $74 million project is expected to ease congestion, there is a bit of a learning curve. It's not what you would expect when you do kind of go against traffic there. Florida's Department of Transportation does have some advice.
don't be distracted, put the phone down, don't play with the radio, just kind of pay attention to what you're doing, stay in your lane. If you know you want to get on the interstate, just stay to the far left.
Construction is not quite over. Officials say it is 90% complete at this time. An update now on Florida's wildfire state of emergency. Even with the rain that we have had in the last few days, 125 active wildfires are still burning across the state tonight. The Florida Forest Service says there have been more than 2,200 fires so far this year, burning more than 171,000 acres. A burn ban remains in effect in Sarasota and Manatee counties and will remain in effect for the foreseeable future. And now for a check on to see if this rain has helped us at all, let's head over to Bob.
Not really this kind of rain. These are scattered storms, not the entire peninsula getting rainfall, but there's a big storm system coming our way. Could bring 2 to 4 inches of rainfall across a large area of the peninsula that need the rain desperately. That happens later on this week. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. That could be very beneficial, and that could help alleviate the big problem that we've seen. Here's what's going on right now, though. Near the coast, not much happening at all. It's pretty high and dry here. We've got a little bit of a switch around to the west-southwest wind, and that is allowing mainly inland storms to take shape right now. So that southeasterly component, which was bringing these storms back toward our coast, is no longer doing that right now. The shower activity that you see right here all up and down central Florida is basically heading off in this direction. Not much near the coast at all. And look at all that lightning now taking place from just north of Arcadia through Wauchula. That is a concern, obviously, for fires. You can see the number of strikes just in the last 10 minutes or so. There's been 356 strikes, and then of those, 222 have been positive strikes, which have a little bit more amperage and can cause fires a little bit more easier, I should say. A storm system over the southern plains will eventually sweep a front our way, but not tonight. We're going to stay pretty warm. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s by 11 o'clock, and not much real threat of any kind of significant rainfall for us within 10, 15 miles of the coast. Inland area is obviously getting some pretty heavy rainfall right now. We'll have more on this big changing weather event headed our way coming up a little bit later. Back to you, Haley.
Thank you, Bob. Still to come, learning from the dead. A new research facility is opening north of Tampa to study how bodies break down over time. We'll give you an inside look at Florida's first body farm when we return.
It's fine that other people like you. It's more important that you like yourself. And I'm comfortable with every part of me. Meals on Wheels coming to my door as someone who's housebound assures me that I'm not forgotten. They care that I'm okay. My name is Asha Ida Bell. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
A promise was made, a promise that hit the beaches of Normandy, a vow that captured Iwo Jima, a contract that weathered Tet, a pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq, an IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. DAV fights to keep that promise, so all veterans and their families get the benefits and support they earned. For help, visit DAV.org.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to save a life? Find out by donating platelets at Suncoast Blood Bank.
I'm Haley Wilgus, ABC7. Platelets aid in the clotting process and are vital in the treatment of cancer and surgical patients, trauma victims, and critically ill newborns. It's tough to keep enough on the shelves because they only last 5 days. To donate, call this number or visit scbb.org and you can help save a life.
ABC7 congratulates Suncoast Blood Bank on 65 years of serving our community. ABC7 News at 7, weeknights.
It's no small wonder anybody loves it all.
I just love art that moves me.
No small,
I mean, really moves me.
One.
Sunset Fiat of Sarasota presents No Small Wonder. High performance style. Let the art of Fiat move you.
Today, the air is perfect. Inside, from your cooling and heating. Daikin.
Heads up, this story isn't for the squeamish, but it's fascinating and it's important. Florida is about to get its first body farm, and it will be right up the road in Pasco County. What is a body farm? Kate Flexter is here to explain. Kate.
Thanks, Alan. There are only 7 other body farms in the entire country, and forensic researchers say it could help close thousands of unsolved cases.
Barbed wire, a fence, locks, and chains, all to protect something highly important. So what's behind this fortress? Nothing more than an empty field, just a typical slice of rural Florida. In a matter of days, though, it will be home to 4 bodies, each one donated for forensic research.
It really allows our detectives, our forensic investigators, to come out and receive real-world training.
Known as a body farm, it's a collaborative effort of the Pasco County Sheriff's Office and the University of South Florida, offering researchers a chance to study how corpses decompose in Florida's unique climate.
We want to be able to come up with those timelines and answer those questions specific to our environment.
The oldest and most famous is at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, home to nearly 200 bodies at any one time. The Pasco County location sits right next to the county jail, a prime spot, says USF forensics professor Dr. Aaron Kimmerly, since this research could put murderers who were never caught behind bars.
It becomes a public safety issue and something that I think anyone can see the need for.
It could play a role in local cold cases like the murder of Sarasota woman Lucinda McLean, whose body was found in a drainage ditch on Fruitville Road. Now, nearly 3 decades later, no one has been held accountable. It's one of thousands of cases without closure.
If you think about what that means, that's a lot of murderers walking on the streets, and how can we not know who they are and track them?
According to FBI data, Florida has the 2nd highest number of reported homicides behind California, with more than 30,000. An advocacy group called Project Cold Case estimates more than 12,000 of Florida's cases remain unsolved. But Dr. Kimmerly suspects that number is even higher.
Unless you're touched by it, you don't realize it. You think law enforcement has everything they need, they've got it, when in fact they're struggling for the resources that they do need.
For now, the center is surrounded by open land like this, but eventually they hope to add an indoor-outdoor facility, complete with classrooms, a training center, a morgue, and evidence storage. The trick is getting the funding. The state legislature set aside $4.3 million for the facility, but Governor Rick Scott still has the power to veto that budget. Chief of Forensics for the Pasco County Sheriff's Office, Susan Monroe, is polling for that funding that would go to research she believes could save investigators precious moments.
If we don't capture the right information at that time, we could lose valuable information.
Monroe points to crime shows, saying they've created a strange phenomenon.
Unfortunately, a lot of people have what we call the CSI effect. And when we go on a scene, they think that we can just magically come up with an answer, because on television they do.
In reality, though, each case is highly complex, with no script to follow, only a body holding clues.
It can tell us time of death, it can tell us what happened years ago if it happens to be a skeletal remains.
This field is named after one of the people to be buried there. His name was Adam Kennedy, the 46-year-old principal of a local elementary school who died in a car wreck in January. His widow, Abigail Kennedy, said her husband always wanted to donate his body to science, his way of, quote, teaching even after his death.
Her story and her talking about Adam and why this was important to her just gets to the heart of what this research is about and shows that human side to it.
For now, just an empty field that could soon be filled with answers and closure.
As you just heard, they're always looking for donations. So if you're interested in donating your body to science, log on to mysuncoast.com for more information.
Kate, thank you. And coming up, more on how this body farm can be a crucial tool in solving murder cases. We'll be joined by one of the area's best private investigators as we take it to the trapezoid.
Fresh out of the box, the Alfa Romeo won us over. We went in skeptical and left in awe of this gorgeous machine. Rediscover your passion for driving at Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
You got a king?
Go fish!
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
2 years ago, my son was born. Now he's running, playing, and learning to speak. When I look at him, I can't help but to see how free he is. I want my son to have the same freedom when he grows up. Protect our freedom of speech, not just for us, but for the future generations.
This is an important medical announcement. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to uncontrollable bleeding and even death. If you've been prescribed one of these drugs and have experienced these dangerous side effects, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that Pradaxa can cause more heart attacks than warfarin, and other countries have already issued safety warnings against this drug. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. The call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to Pradaxa victims, and thousands of Xarelto victims are filing their legal cases. Call the Drug Watch hotline if you or a loved one used Xarelto or Pradaxa and experienced uncontrollable bleeding, brain hemorrhage, or even death. You must call now.
Call 800-793-6055. 800-793-6055.
It does things that seem impossible. Feeling like it could change direction while airborne. Rediscover your passion for driving at Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
Welcome back. Tonight might be the first time you're hearing about a body farm, but it is not a new concept. Florida's farm will become the 7th of its kind in the United States. Anthropologist William Bass came up with the concept in 1972 to study decomposition of the human body. Prior to that, pig remains were used to study the process. Florida joins Texas, Tennessee, North Carolina, Illinois, and Colorado in setting up one of these facilities. Forensics experts say having one in our state is important to study the impact of a tropical climate on decomposition. With more than 16,000 cold cases in the state, having this research could help solve cases and bring closure to the families of victims. Joining us for more on body farms is private investigator Bill Warner and ABC7 reporter Kate Flextra. Kate, you went up there the other day. Tell us a little bit about the area of Pasco County where this is. Are there homes nearby, schools? Set the scene.
Well, it's actually a really remote area. It's right next to the Pasco County Jail. So there really aren't homes around there. That was my first question, was have you gotten backlash from homeowners who might be around there? And they said that they haven't. So it is really remote. And I expected it to be kind of eerie, but to be honest with you, it really wasn't.
Now, as we just reported, the bodies are not there yet. What kind of time frame are we talking about?
I think a matter of days, maybe weeks, but not long. In the near future, they should have them there.
And it's people basically donating their bodies for research.
Yeah, and they say that they've had a lot of people kind of coming forward and saying that they would like to donate their bodies for research since it's been getting media attention.
Bill, have you ever heard of this before?
A little bit. I didn't pay too much attention to it at first. I looked into the one in Texas, and it's absolutely fascinating what's going on here. If you can establish a timeline when somebody was murdered and the body was dumped somewhere, that helps law enforcement immensely. You have an idea like when and where, you're into the program.
Now, you have been involved with cold cases
Yes.
for many years. Has the research been out there before? Has there been a need to get the research better? And it's important to take into account that the climate in Florida is different than the climate in Illinois, and therefore a study done in Illinois doesn't necessarily tell you the facts on the ground here in Florida.
Oh, absolutely. Cold versus hot. It's been in play for a few years, okay? This is really extensive what they're doing now to really gauge the humidity and heat of Florida and what happens to a body above ground and below ground. So this is fascinating.
Well, let's dig deep into this a little bit. Let's say you are investigating a body discovered wherever that
Correct.
was buried below the surface. what do you need, aside from the cause of death, that the body itself will tell you about when the person died?
From what I understand, they can do a lot actually from the bones of the body. After they get through this decomposition program and you have just the bones left, they can tell a lot about the person, the age, so forth, possibly where they even lived because of the minerals in the bones. It's unbelievable what they can do.
And Kate, who is going to be, who runs this facility, and who is there to basically be experts on the scene who will be in residence there?
Well, it's a combination of USF as well as the University of South Florida, as well as the Sheriff's Office. They're working in tandem at the site. And, you know, one of the things that he touched upon that I think is really important is that it's really complicated to prove that someone was responsible in these cases. And she talked about it in the story, that CSI effect. We've all seen those crime shows, and we know that people think it's easy to solve these situations, but in reality, she says it's quite complicated.
And how is this funded?
This is actually donated land from the county, but they are looking for money from the state legislature that they've set aside to expand and build a morgue, research facilities.
And are they getting any cooperation, let's say, from either other states or the federal government? Because this is research, obviously, that would be valuable in multiple jurisdictions.
Not that I'm aware of as of right now.
Right, okay. We are just getting started in this conversation. We will pick it up right after we check the weather.
How long have we been married there?
For 76 years.
He was kind and generous to me before we married, and he was kind and generous to me all these years. We decided on Meals on Wheels because I was getting to the point where I couldn't do all the things that I had been able to do. We're the Spans. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
It's Lincoln's summer sales event here at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKC Sports Utility for $249 per month or 2017 MKZ for $299 per month. We are proud to introduce the newest addition to the Lincoln lineup, the all-new 2017 Lincoln Continental. We have a great selection and ready for immediate delivery. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Suncoast since 1978. We are located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
Well, the forecast did call for this. Inland storms expected, and that's what happened today. Showers and storms really breaking out with that west to southwesterly wind component. You know, all week last week we had that east to southeasterly wind, which always causes us to warm up here, especially if it's strong enough. We had record-breaking highs 5 days in a row, but that's not the case this week. With that westerly component, the water temperature now is still pretty warm in the mid-80s, but it keeps things a bit cooler, especially as that breeze makes its way all the way inland. So temperatures will not be record-breaking this particular week. And in fact, we could see some on the other side of that, record cold or at least cool air come Thursday and Friday morning. Look at this shower and thunderstorm activity really breaking out now near Arcadia and Wauchula. Some heavy rain. We're going to see up to a couple of inches before it's all said and done. But notice it's not moving much at all. And there has been quite a bit of lightning strikes through this area recently, but those are starting to diminish somewhat as the tops of these storms are starting to diminish somewhat. Going below that 30,000 foot level, that's where you start to see less activity when it comes to lightning, and that's what we're seeing right now with those storms. The Van Wezel webcam showing beautiful weather today out over the waters. Perfect out there for boaters, but the boating conditions are going to get rough over the next 72 hours. Would not be surprised to see a small craft advisory put into effect as early as Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Dry through Thursday, or Tuesday, I should say, and then big storms move in Wednesday and Thursday. Much cooler and drier air to move in. Now, this is the Storm Prediction Center idea as to what may happen in terms of severe weather. Now, this was a little higher just 12 hours ago. We were in the slight chance, and now we're in the marginal chance for severe weather. So that's good, but we're still in the chance, meaning that we have a potential to see winds gust as high as 60 miles an hour with some of the storms. The timing of that will be specifically late Wednesday and into early Thursday morning. The tornadic activity is going to be diminishing too, it looks like, but there's still a chance at 5% to see a little twist in those storms as they move on through. 82 right now. No storms around here near the coast. It's clear. And the dew point temperature warm, and winds are out of the west-southwest at 13. The pressure 29.97. The high today right where it's supposed to be at 87 degrees, so no record-breaking highs anticipated. For boaters, winds will be out of the south to southwest at 15 knots. So yes, a little bit of a breeze out there. Seas running 2 to 4 feet with a moderate chop. And the water temperature really starting to warm up. 86 degrees. Beaches will see a high of 88. High tide upcoming 11:25. Sunset 8:16. And the forecast tonight, mostly fair. There's a slight chance for an inland shower, but most of the rain will be over, say, 8 or 9 o'clock in the inland areas. Mostly sunny. 20% chance for a late shower tomorrow. That will be inland too. And a high right about normal, 86 degrees. The extended forecast calls for a whopping 80% chance. You don't see that very often this time of year as a front moves through late Wednesday, Thursday morning, and that brings us a real good chance of seeing the possibility of some heavy rain. Alan will be right back after this.
Attention blood clot filter patients. Surgically implanted blood clot filters are potentially life-threatening. Some filters are prone to breaking, resulting in pieces of the filter moving through the body and causing internal bleeding. If you had surgery to implant a blood clot filter, you may be entitled to a cash award, even if you haven't suffered side effects yet. Call the Gold Shield Group now, 888-747-5291, to see if you qualify for a cash award, 888-747-5291.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Today, the air is perfect. Inside. Expect more from your cooling and heating. Daikin.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing body farms. They're research centers used to study the decomposition of human remains, and Florida is opening its first facility this year. Our guest tonight, our private investigator Bill Warner and ABC7 reporter Kate Flexter, who was there. And Kate, we were just talking about it's donated land. There are funds that have been set aside by the state legislature, but it's not a sure thing about whether the governor is going to veto that section of the budget or not.
Right. As far as I understand, the governor could still veto the budget. And in that case, the money that was set aside by the state legislature for expanding this research facility would not be there for them.
But obviously, we will know where the bodies are buried. That's just a little pun there. Yeah. Bill, could you cite cases that you've dealt with where it has been crucial to determine when this person died, who has been, buried or murdered in that fashion?
Right. I had a case in Tennessee where the woman was kidnapped, and the body was found 45 days later above ground. They didn't bury it; just dumped the body, and it became crucial, first of all, to determine what was the cause of death, and then what happened, a timeline. They had a real problem at this particular case of getting a timeline of when she was actually killed. Was she killed the day she was kidnapped, or was it a week later or 2 weeks later? So very important to get that information. And this program, the Body Farm, we're going to provide stuff like that.
This is kind of macabre, Kate, but so how does this work in terms of, are these experiments going to take place in different ways, burying somebody deep into the ground, closer to the surface, above the surface?
They will be, and if you walk into the field, you see that there are several different types of environments within it. So they have kind of a wooded area where they're going to bury bodies, and imagine that the roots in some way might affect the way that the body is buried. And they also will bury at different depths as well to see how it's affected. Bill touched upon it as well, but we talked a little bit about Florida's environment. It's so unique, it's so humid, and it really speeds up decomposition.
Oh, very much, yeah.
But even within Florida, you have different environments. The environments in South Florida are just are different than here, and Lord knows that in Northern Florida, it's just a little bit different. Right. It's hard to imagine that these facilities are going to be popping up all over the state. But Bill, what do you hope for in terms of the information that comes out of this and how it's disseminated both to law enforcement agencies and to even professionals like yourself?
Well, that's a good point. They have to get it out to law enforcement. That's basic. I feel this is what this is all about. It is for law enforcement. You have to be able to determine when somebody was killed and how they died. This is so important. And I don't know if this is going to filter down to people at my level, but law enforcement definitely needs this.
Right. How, when you're looking at cold cases, how often does this come into play?
All the time. Every case is the same. When you have a body like that, you've got to know when the person was murdered. When, where, it's so important. The FBI has a program. They have a program to try to determine the highway interdictive, it's called. They found bodies all along the United States around interstate highways, and they're trying to piece it together, like how did all these people die? Did they come from different parts of the state and dumped in a different state? It's all ties together with the FBI, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, sure.
Yeah, Kate, do you know if the professionals who work at this facility are going to be consulting with experts outside of this exact kind of science? For instance, when you're dealing with any place, you're dealing also with wildlife and nature out there, and all that could impact in terms of the data that you're getting from the bodies there.
I'm not sure if they are consulting with outside sources, but I do know there was a case recently in Texas, actually, where I guess it's not a fenced-in body farm in the same way that this one is, and there was the first recorded instance of a deer actually consuming the body parts. It was something interesting for the researchers, I imagine.
And I would imagine that is problematic, and that happens because, obviously, if you're dealing with murder, it's a chaotic situation.
True. But what they're going to do, I think they're a little more controlled situation here. They have a fenced-in area, obviously, and some of the bodies that they do leave above ground, which they have to because a lot of bodies are just dumped, they're not buried. They're going to build like this steel cage around the body to keep, you know, vultures away and rodents and all that, so they can determine, again, the decomposition timeline.
Has there been any history, whether it's in Pasco County or in other states, of neighbors just, you know, not in my backyard kind of thing?
I'm honestly not sure about that. I imagine that there has been. That's why I asked them that question when I went there. If I was a nearby neighbor, I could imagine being a little concerned about it.
It was. It was supposed to be in Hillsborough County. They said no. The residents in the area that were going to build it in Hillsborough County went ballistic. No, they just felt it was too macabre, like you said, and they didn't want it in their backyard. But again, I think where it is now in Pasco County, near the jail, is a perfect situation. Something's needed.
Right, and you know, they're also, you know, basically, what is the supply in terms of the amount of people who are donating their bodies for this kind of research? Do they specify that this is where, you know, they want their bodies to go to? Because there's a lot of different kinds of medical research.
They do. They just specify that they'd like for it to go to this specific body farm. And in other states, in Tennessee, they have a constant supply. I think they have 190 bodies at any one time. This has that potential, and already they're seeing a lot of people come forward and say that they'd like to be part of it. I think they have 30 people who have called, and I imagine they'll have many more.
In fact, kind of a side note here, if you donate your body here in Florida and you're within 200 miles of the Pasco County body farm, they'll come pick you up.
Well, that's nice. And just one other question, has any permitting been required for this? You know, do they have to go through any kind of hoops for that, or they are good to go?
They're good to go because this is county land. The county donated this land to them for this project. They're on board with it, as far as I understand.
Okay. Absolutely fascinating. We are going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have final thoughts on body farms.
Check out mysuncoast.com/dining, your guide to the foodie lifestyle.
If you're only hungry for a slice of apple pie, why buy the whole pie? And you certainly wouldn't want to pay for an all-you-can-eat buffet. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why get charged for a plan that's too big, or even an unlimited plan? Luckily, there's still a wireless company that shares your values. Welcome to Consumer Cellular. Our average customer pays about $25 a month for everything they need. Many pay even less, as plans start at just $10 a month. You'll get a straightforward bill that's easy to understand, with no surprises, and all the attention you deserve from our friendly customer service team. No wonder Consumer Cellular has received J.D. Power Awards for highest customer service. Plus, if you're an AARP member, you'll receive special discounts. It's easy to switch. You can even keep your phone and your number. So stop paying for more than you need and start your 30-day risk-free trial today. Call 800-457-2317, go online, or visit a Target store today.
When you want to get away from it all, to a place where you can do everything, or nothing at all, surrounded by natural beauty and all the modern amenities you might desire, then you'll want to be here at the Wanna Be Inn on the beautiful shores of Manasota Key, Florida. To plan your escape, log on to wannabein.com.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill, I'm creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah.
Come on in, welcome to our pad. Trust me, folks, you're in for a ride. I'm driving, so relax. Unwind, leave your buckets all behind. Get ready to blow your mind. In Beatsville, don't be shy. Come and make the scene. Catch the crazy party inside. The hipsters here are gone and dig, man, they're on to something big. Yeah, they're gonna flip your wig in Beatsville. Catch the gig in Beatsville.
It may seem macabre, but the research garnered from body forms could help solve thousands of homicide cases. What should we keep in mind when we think about Florida's facility? Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. Kate, you were the one who was there. What was your takeaway?
My takeaway was that I expected it to be scary and a little daunting, but actually it has potential to help solve thousands of cases, cold cases in Florida. So I think that is something to keep in mind.
In this particular case, was this highly, we talked that Hillsborough certainly didn't want it, but it went in Pasco. Are neighbors aware of what's going in?
I'm not sure if neighbors are aware, but I know that it's not really very close to many homes. No resistance that I'm aware of.
And Bill, once again, the importance of this.
Well, I understand the objection of a lot of people about having it anywhere near their home and so forth. That's fine. But this is so important. I was involved in a couple of different things in the last 6 months where we actually checked cold cases from New York City to Florida. And in every situation, a lot of the bodies were not even identifiable. They didn't know who they were. They're into Potter's Field and just dumped. It's so important to have this information. Timeline is the key.
All right. Well, thank you both very much for joining us. Bill Warner is a private investigator here in Sarasota, and Kate Flexter is a reporter for ABC7 News. When we return, we'll have a final look at your weather, and stay tuned for your prime time headlines.
I took my first handful of pills, and that's when all my priorities seemed to change.
He would ask to use the bathroom in other people's homes.
He just assumed that they would have medication.
He'd go in their medicine cabinets and steal prescription drugs.
I wish I knew really what these prescription pills were.
We were so naive about the whole drug thing.
These are all synthetic forms of heroin.
Keep your medication locked up because you'll never notice that a pill is gone.
Mind your meds. Learn more from the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
Ever since I can remember, I've been intrigued by industrial design and the optimization.
Wait, that's passion? Ever since I can remember, my passion has been industrial design. We need 3D printers for Miss Adams' engineering program so that we are ready to solve 21st century challenges.
Impressive. Think It Up is a new initiative to support student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classroom today? Think It Up.
If you've ever had a bad night's sleep, call and price the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has so much more than other adjustables and still costs up to 50% less, featuring a rising adjustable pillow rest to support your head, neck, and shoulders, bedside power plugs, under bed night lights, and more. So call and price one today for less, up to 50% less than Tempur-Pedic, Sleep Number, and other adjustables.
You get so much more and it still costs less. You've got to see how little they cost.
Call 1-800-774-8103. That's 1-800-774-8103. Call now.
Why settle for less? Get more for your money at Sunset Subaru in Sarasota. Subaru is rated the safest and most dependable automotive brand, and all Subaru models with eyesight are a 2017 IIHS Top Safety Pick. Right now, you can lease the most award-winning small SUV, a new Subaru Forester, for just $209 a month, or get 0% financing with complimentary maintenance included. Get more for your money. Go to Sunset Subaru in Sarasota.
Well, good evening. Showers and storms continue to develop along the inland part of the Seabreeze. Now it's well inland, and it's not moving much at all, producing some locally heavy rainfall at times into Wauchula, near Arcadia, and places to the east there. Not much going on near the coast. That's the way it's going to stay, too. It looks like dry overnight and dry again on Tuesday, with only the exception of a few showers and a few storms, mainly firing up in the inland areas with that west to southwest wind. That is going to be the case, I think, through the upcoming days, at least through Tuesday and Wednesday. Not much going on during the day, but in the evening, we're going to start to see some pretty heavy weather move in, it looks like. Right now, those big storms are firing up, but they're starting to weaken right now, at least over Hardee County. They were up to about 35 to 40,000 feet. Now they're down to about 20. And as far as our current conditions go, right here near the coast, it's 82. We have sunshine, the dew point 71. Winds are out of the west-southwest at 13. And the pressure now 2997. The wind will be out of the south and southwest through the evening and throughout the day tomorrow. Those winds will pick up too throughout the day on Wednesday, and we're talking the possibility of small craft advisories Wednesday and Thursday. And that again is a direct result of a cold front, a late season cold front that'll move down and cool us down a little bit and dry us out by Thursday. But before that happens, we're going to get a good chance for some heavy rainfall. Now, right now, temperatures expected tomorrow, mid-80s. We'll see mostly sunny skies and really just a slight chance for an inland shower or two. Satellite and radar combination showing you some rough weather now into Texas and New Mexico. That's about it. Possibility of some flooding over the southeast. The RPM forecast model does show not much going on tomorrow. Pretty quiet, sunny, and then the windy weather starts to pick up on Wednesday as the front approaches the panhandle, and eventually that front and a squall line out ahead of it will be rather impressive and could produce some severe weather our way on through the day, late Wednesday and into Thursday morning. Well, temperatures into the 60s and 70s over the northeast. Boston now cooler at 52. It's 50 in Denver, 103 in Phoenix now, and 77 in Dallas. Well, if you're planning on boating, tomorrow is going to be marginal. We'll have winds out of the south-southwest at 15 knots. And the seas will be running right around 2 to 4 feet with a moderate chop on the bays and inland waters. The winds and seas will be higher than that on Wednesday and Thursday. Water temperature now at 86 degrees. That's really warmed up. And that's going to aid these storms as they move through again later on midweek. High tide at 11:25 and a low tide will be at 5:27. Sunset at 8:16. Sunrise will be at 6:38 tonight. Mostly fair near the coast. A slight chance for an isolated inland shower, 74 for a low temperature. And then tomorrow, we'll see another day like today for the most part. Inland storms are possible, 86 your high. South winds 10 to 15. And then the extended forecast does call for a much better chance for showers and storms. Some strong late Wednesday night, Thursday morning. And then breezy and turning slightly cooler for just a couple of days. We'll be right back with primetime headlines right after this.
The Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio charmed us all and crippled the competition. Rediscover your passion for driving at Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-962-4112. That's 1-800-962-4112. Call now, 1-800-962-4112. For a free brochure, call 1-800-962-4112.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251, 800-628-1251.
Alfa Romeo got a lot right with the Giulia. But the handling alone is sufficient reason to get one. Rediscover your passion for driving at Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
Now to your primetime headlines. We do have breaking news out of Manatee County. The jury has reached a verdict in the trial of Andres Avalos Jr. The jury is recommending life without parole for Avalos. He was found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of second-degree murder for killing his wife, Amber Avalos, his neighbor, Denise Potter, and a local pastor, James Tripp Battle, in 2014. The jury needed a unanimous verdict to put Avalos to death. They did not have it. Once again, Avalos will spend the rest of his life behind bars without a chance for parole. And there is a developing story out of England tonight. Police say there are multiple fatalities after an explosion at an Ariana Grande concert. This happened at the Manchester Arena. You can see video from inside showing concertgoers. They're screaming, very worried, looking for cover. We'll have more on this story tonight at 11. President Trump making his second stop on a 9-day trip, spending the day in Israel. He's pursuing what he calls the ultimate deal, bringing peace to the Middle East. However, political controversies at home are following the president there. ABC's Stephanie Ramos has the latest.
As President Trump takes in the sights and mingles with world leaders in Saudi Arabia and Israel on this 9-day foreign trip, he can't seem to leave behind the controversy over Russia. Before the trip, President Trump reportedly revealed highly classified intelligence to Russian officials that is believed to have come from Israel.
Just so you understand, I never mentioned the word or the name Israel. Never mentioned it during that conversation.
The president essentially confirming that Israel provided the highly classified intel, which might have put lives at risk. Today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu still all smiles.
Intelligence cooperation is terrific.
According to the New York Times, at that same Oval Office meeting, the president told Russian officials, quote, "I just fired the head of the FBI. He was crazy, a real nut job. I face great pressure because of Russia." That's taken off.
Russia has bad motives toward the U.S., past, present, and future.
Those motives are at the center of a federal probe into Russia's meddling in the U.S. presidential election last year. And Mr. Trump's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, is now refusing to testify before Congress. Flynn pleading the Fifth Amendment and not handing over documents to the Senate panel leading the investigation. During a campaign rally last year, then candidate Trump had this to say.
If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
Former FBI Director James Comey is set to tell his side of the story to Congress in a public hearing sometime after Memorial Day. Stephanie Ramos, ABC News, Washington.
And as you just heard, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn is rejecting a subpoena from the Senate Intelligence Committee to testify and turn over documents. The investigation is part of a probe into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Today, Governor Chris Christie is joining others in saying he advised the White House not to hire Flynn.
I didn't think that he was someone who would bring benefit to the president or to the administration. And I made that very clear to candidate Trump, and I made it very clear to President-elect Trump.
Former Attorney General Sally Yates testified before the Senate that she had warned the White House Flynn was compromised 18 days before Flynn was forced to resign. The Trump administration is extending humanitarian protections for Haitian immigrants living in the U.S. The temporary protection status for 50,000 Haitians was set to expire in July, but now the administration is extending it until at least January of 2018. This move protects the immigrants from deportation. It was implemented after the devastating 2010 earthquake in Haiti. More than 500 people were killed in Haiti in October after Hurricane Matthew struck the island. Now to a tragedy at the University of Maryland. The FBI investigating what it calls an unprovoked deadly attack that may be racially motivated. 22-year-old Sean Urbanski was charged with first-degree murder this afternoon in the stabbing death of Richard Collins III, a black student seen here. Friends of the 23-year-old victim say they were waiting for an Uber with him around 3 a.m. on Saturday when Urbanski approached, pulled a knife, and stabbed Collins in the chest. Officials are investigating the suspect's connection to an alt-right Facebook group before deciding if this is a hate crime.
We do not have enough evidence to say conclusively whether this is a hate crime. It is certainly something that we will look at with the assistance of all of our partners, and if this is where the evidence leads us, then we will reach that conclusion.
Collins, a Bowie State University senior, was visiting friends in College Park. He was an active ROTC member who had just received his commission. Florida's Supreme Court is maintaining a ruling requiring a unanimous jury to impose the death penalty. Today, justices are turning away an appeal from state officials seeking to overturn a ruling from the High Court on this same matter. Last year, the court struck down a law requiring 10 of 12 jurors to recommend the death penalty, saying it was unconstitutional. State legislators responded by overhauling that law. Governor Rick Scott will reach his term limit in 2018, and more candidates continue to announce that they will run for governor. Today, Bob White of Melbourne is officially filing. White currently serves as chairman of the Republican Liberty Caucus of Florida. In his announcement, White said he wants to focus on bringing campaign finance reform, as well as promoting limited government, personal freedom, and free markets. White will face fellow Republicans Adam Putnam, Daniel Zutler, and Usha Jain in a primary. Putnam is currently Florida's Secretary of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Tonight, he's issuing a review of cybersecurity measures after a breach of the database with the names of Florida's concealed weapons permit holders. More than 16,000 names may have been obtained by hackers. No financial information was stolen, but the social security numbers of hundreds of people may have been compromised. A 2006 law keeps the names of concealed weapons permit holders confidential. Members of the Florida Independent Spirits Association are uniting in an effort to have Governor Scott veto a bill which repeals a 1920s-era law banning liquor sales at grocery stores. Scott has until Wednesday to decide whether to sign, veto, or just let the measure become law without his signature. The measure is backed by companies such as Target and Walmart. Opponents argue it will hurt small businesses like liquor stores, eliminate jobs, and lead to more impulse buying of hard liquor.
I'm hoping and I'm praying every day that he will veto this, because I don't think he wants to lose all these jobs and all the small businesses. But everybody will put in the bankrupt right away.
The governor's office received more than 3,000 emails, letters, and calls in opposition to this bill. However, it also received nearly 800 emails and calls in favor of the legislation. NASA is ordering urgent spacewalking repairs at the International Space Station. This comes after astronauts Peggy Whitson and Jack Fisher performed the 200th spacewalk at the station earlier this month. They will be going out again tomorrow to replace a data relay box that broke over the weekend. The box controls radiators, solar panels, and other critical systems. A backup box is still functioning, but officials want the bad one replaced in case the good one also goes down. Tomorrow's spacewalk should take about 2 hours. That's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Haley Wilgus. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here at 11.